artist.
Gaither.
Hey there, Vyxsin.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great this morning. How about
Well,
yourself?
I'm doing great too. You and I had a talk way early in the morning, so this is like our second talk of the morning.
Right,
Insomnia.
right.
Team
Good,
insomnia.
good for your health. Ha
Ah, indeed. Well, so this show is called Vyxsin with Friends. So, first things first, how are we friends?
Well, about 20 years ago, I don't know if you remember it, but we were both taking a tour of a factory, and it was of a uh, a head cheese plant. You know what head cheese is? And
Yeah, but
then,
are you making
and
fun of
then,
me?
and then we met at
I've never taken a tour of a head cheese factory, you
then we
goofball.
met getting at the counter getting. No, I'm just joking.
I
We
know, I
always
was like,
Yeah, I knew I'd freak you out. No, we ran around. We ran around with the same people all the time, and it was like musicians, artists, writers, performers, in different galleries, different places, golf shows and everything. And we finally hooked up by an elevator, which I was entering the elevator and you were exiting it, and we ended up talking. And the weird thing is, I was thinking about it after I got off the phone last night with you. That happens a lot to me and Stacy, because I've met other people like Sebastian Bach. She's met an actor stuff, and it's always through elevators, and it's always we're entering and they're
coming
exiting.
again.
Weird.
Yeah, yeah, it is weird. Well, you know what? My previous person I interviewed was Penny Abney, who you know as
Oh
well.
yeah.
She's a mutual friend, and she used the word kismet at, during our interview. And I thought, gosh, that's kind of what this was like, right, for you and I, because we have things in common, but we also, it's like a Venn diagram. Venn or Venn? I don't know. Who's to say? No one knows. But where we, it's like you're over here and I'm over here, but there's a lot of overlap in the people that we care about, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, and so we sort of just started getting connected and running into each other, and we both spent quite a bit of time. We're no longer there, but you and I both spent quite a bit of time in Louisville,
Oh yeah. Oh
right?
yeah.
So we have an affection for the city of Louisville. Yeah, is that fair to say?
Oh yeah. For sure.
Yeah, yeah. So your thing is that you are an artist. Are you any old artist? No. You are like a professional full time. This is your gig. Like you're
That's what I
for
do for.
people who are not familiar watching with Jeff, you are like an artist.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I kind of froze there because I was just like trying to think of like adjectives. Like phenomenal, cool, creative, awesome, like inspired, passionate, fierce, fearless. Like I just was like running through all these adjectives in my head. So I would love to hear from you about like how you got into doing visual art, because you are so prolific and have such a career that spans, according to your website, 40 years. I haven't known you that long, but
Probably longer than that. I really started when I was young, about 16, and actually probably younger than that because I copied art out of Marvel Comics, copied it, but I've sort of geared myself toward the monsters, and monster movies, and my style come out a little bit, and I kept drawing, and I got into metal music and punk music, and in the punk scene, they had punk fanzines,
Yes.
and of course, the punk fanzines had all kinds of crazy artwork in it. And I'm like, well, I probably could get my artwork in those. So I made photocopies and would send to the punk zines, and they would send me a copy. And then I realized that in the back of the punk zine, they would review other punk zines. So what I did was I would send a couple of copies to them, and they would send me copies. And then it got to where I would say, okay, if you're going to use my art, send me copies and let me run my ad. And so, right. And so I was sending out probably 30 or 40 every week or so. And I did this absolutely free. If you want to call it free, I got magazines and my ad in there. But after a while, people started writing and asking how much it costs to do stuff. And it was like,
The phone started ringing off the hook. And that's one of the things I think is real cool about you is that you're self-taught. Because I
yeah, I
think when
never,
it comes to art, it sometimes people think it's for the privileged few, and good for them, right? But having said that, I think it's so exciting. Like I have a daughter who's like an aspiring artist, one of my girls. And it's like so cool to just be like, no, art's for everybody. Just practice, do it and go, right? Like art can be for anybody. And but hard work though is one of the things about you. Like you did not just
oh,
rest on your laurels. You like worked your
oh,
tuchus off,
but
right? To get
you know, a lot of people disagree with it, but mine's a God-given talent because
you do.
uh,
Oh,
after the punk stuff and doing that, I started getting album covers and different things, and then it moved on to where um, I was doing stuff for different bands and everything, and it was like I moved on to different stuff, but basically, I started getting known all around the world, but I wasn't known in Louisville at all. I felt that way. So I took it on myself to get known in Louisville. And I ended up doing like Leo, two covers, Saturday Scene, or what was it? The Courier Journal Saturday Scene, St. James Art Fair poster. I did Forecastle 10 years.
I was gonna mention Fort Castle because I think we need to like discuss your art like in more depth. But I wanted to mention Fort Castle because I was going back through your work, getting ready to talk with you this morning, and those posters are very different from your no prime what you're known for. So can we
Right.
talk about what you're known for because it's wild. I have a bunch of adjectives, but I would like you to go first.
Well, most people just call it ugly art or ugly because it's like underground ugly art. But I cater my art to whoever it is. The Forecastle stuff. I wasn't really into the music that much, except for when Devo showed up, and then I left the booth and went and met
You
Devo.
went and whipped it real good with Devo.
I left it and it was like, and to be honest, the 10 years that I was there was the best money I ever made off of any of the stuff.
Well,
But
it was more not mainstream, but it was more mainstream than what I mean, you like, by the way, viewers, we're going to have links below to Jeff Gaither's work, which is phenomenal and worth a look. Be forewarned. Be forewarned. His work is nightmare fuel. In the best sense of that, right? It's like rugged and rough and psychedelic and cool and free. Like it's so unique. Like looking at your work, it's like, that's clearly him. Like it's really neat. Like I love that about your work, like your body of work over the years, like with posters and band stuff and album covers and things. Like people reached out to you because of the style that you have, right?
oh yeah, well, a
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize that the work they see is mine until either I tell them or they spot my name. They're like they didn't even recognize it was mine. But like in the overall picture, I don't know if you know who Big Daddy Rolf is.
Yes, yeah,
Uh,
you did a lot of work with.
I sent him photocopies of my artwork. And a week later, he called me up and was like, "This is Big Daddy Rolf. Can I speak to Gator?" And
You were
I
like,
did,
close, no cigar, but close. It's fine. I'll
yeah.
take what do you want from me?
Like, would you like to draw monsters for me? And I'm like, hell yeah, I would. And so I ended up working for him for, I don't know, several years in the 80s. And, he passed away, but now I'm a licensed graphic artist, which means all the work I did for him back then, I can sell, but I'm not going to do that. I have plans to do all new graphic stuff.
Oh,
And
that's
then,
really cool.
yeah,
That's
and,
really
uh,
neat. And
and I'm
some
trying to,
other bands, like you worked with the Misfits, Guns N'
yeah,
Roses, like, I mean, you
well,
like,
I got an agent at the time, and that's how I got all the big bands, Testament and all that stuff, Stone Temple Pilots, and of course, the big one, Guns N' Roses, and it was like uh, you pay the agent, and then they pay you, and then you pay the agent a cut. But my wife at the time somehow screwed it up, and it was like.
so so you were telling me about like your experiences with all these different things, and you said having an agent for you is not a good fit.
Yeah, I've not used an agent since. But
Yeah.
the whole time I told you about how my art developed, I also had jobs. I've only had three other jobs in my life. And I started when I was 12, sweeping docks and stuff. I bought my first BB gun with that. Then I went to Jerry's. Then I went back to that warehouse. And when I was at that warehouse, I started at the lowest level and worked my way up until I was art director. Now, the funny thing about that is, I'm not proud of it, but I quit in the ninth grade. But when I was an art director, I was interviewing people that had college degrees to hire them. I quit in the ninth grade, but I'm hiring people with college degrees. I thought that was funny.
It is funny. Well, that and I keep kind of cycling back to this, but one of the things I think is really cool about you is, I mean, obviously your work speaks for itself, but the fact that you're self-taught, the fact that you fashioned your own vision of art, like, that is so striking. And again, we're going to have like pictures here. We'll have images below, but like your art is so striking. And I, I was telling you earlier, I had a list of adjectives that I'd love to use. And then I'd love for you to say, well, I would just say this instead. May I give it a shot?
Sure.
May I give it the old try? Okay. So like, to me, it's like punk. It's fierce, fearless, psychedelic, nightmare fuel, but funny.
It's
Like
funny. It's
funny,
great.
right?
Yeah,
Is there anything in there that you would agree, or did I miss
well,
the mark?
I'm influenced by a lot of different artists and EC comics, horror movies, current events, and I get a lot of ideals from dreams too.
Are you, so you're a vivid dreamer?
No, not really.
Oh,
I used to dream when I was young, and they were always nightmares, but I liked them because it was like, when they had DVD stores.
oh
My
yeah.
night, my
I'm
nightmare.
not, we none of us are 20. So
I,
I remember
I
those. Yes, sir.
always consider my nightmares like free DVD movies.
I could, okay. Okay.
Yeah, they were
Mine,
like on there, and it was like a free movie to me because I always enjoyed my nightmares. But what else was I going with that? And then I don't dream for a long time, and then I'll start dreaming. And if I write them down, I have the ideals. Like I had a shirt to do like last month, and I could not figure out what to do for this guy. I just could not figure it out. And I had a dream. I seen him wearing the shirt with a design on it. So I woke up the next day and sketched it out.
it was just there.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
shirt.
Well, I would like to mention about your work for people who know certain segments of your work that you are really multifaceted as an artist, which is one of the many things I really appreciate about you. Another one, again, the show is Vyxsin with Friends. you are an awesome person. You are kind. You know, like you like take care of people. Like you care about the people you care about. You're a hard worker. Like you have all of these qualities that make you an excellent human being, and you're a brilliant artist. And one of the things we were kind of talking about earlier this morning was like how some people can be super talented and you're like, yes, you're so good. And then you meet them and they're like, Murph, Murph.
Yeah, I hate that.
I'm a grumpy Gus. And you're like, you're so not that person. Like you are so like genuine.
Well, I try to be, especially at conventions. I'm off season right now, which means I'm sick of doing cons, so I don't do them for. But when I do cons, I'd rather die than act like a shithead to somebody. I treat everybody nice. Plus, I shouldn't say this, but I try to remember everybody's name, but I can't. But Stacy has a photographic memory, so we have a little.
Hey,
That
Stacy.
Hey, Jack, how's it going? And then I know it. I can talk to that person because I want that person to feel connected, that like I know them, or I remember them and stuff. It makes a big deal to the person.
Well, it really does. And, I'm not doing conventions currently, but I went through quite a phase of doing them as well, from being on reality television and gothy stuff and whatever. And I know in my experience is quite limited compared to yours. But I did a lot of cons around the country. I mean, like from Alaska to Canada to New York to LA to little tiny towns and Louisville. And I'll tell you, Dragon in Atlanta was my first con, and I was the cover model for the program guide with Larry Elmore. Maybe yeah. So it was kind of weird. I was like, I've never been to a con before, and they're like, there you go. And I was this booth babe, which was super fun. But yeah, like conventions are a special space, and if people haven't been to them, it's maybe a little bit important to explain what that is to a person who's a fan or an attendee, right? Like a fan or an attendee. I haven't struggled with that word, attendee. But if you're going to a con, it's because you're like really passionate about the subject. If it's a horror con, horror gore, right? Goth,
Right.
anime, any of that stuff, right? Like you're going there because you care a lot about the art, you care about it. So if you wait in line or you buy a ticket, you get your badge and you go and you get to meet someone you've been looking forward to meet, I think it's really cool that like you and I share an attitude about like treating them like they matter. Right?
At one convention,
Does that make sense?
oh yeah, at one convention, it was 3 or 4 kids. They said they traveled three, which it's hard for me to believe, but they said that they traveled 3 hours just to meet me. And then when I was talking to them, they're like, "We'd like to buy something, but we only have $3. We spent all our money on gas." So what I did was I just gave them all a signed print, and they were like freaking out. It was like they won the
lottery. Yeah,
know.
well, and that was, and obviously everybody can't do that for everybody every time, but like those moments, like those kids will never forget that.
Right.
That's one of those things they'll be like, this one time I met that guy, or they'll see an album cover or something or a poster of yours, and they'll be like, that guy, like hooked us up at this con. It was so cool. So that's really sweet.
That's how I met Stacy. Her daughter wanted to. It was at Forecastle, and her daughter wanted some stuff from me. And of course, I'm really bad at it. I give extra stuff, so I gave her extra stuff, and then she went back to her mom and said, "Go get him to sign it because I'm too embarrassed to go sign it." So her mom come up and was like, she told me, "Oh, he's probably another asshole artist," but when she come up, she realized I wasn't, and that's where our relationship started.
That's how you guys met, you and Stacy?
Yeah, at Forecastle.
Oh my gosh. So how cool is that? Because I know that Forecastle is a different, this is actually a perfect segue because the Forecastle poster art is different than your stuff you're the most probably famous for. But you also do sculpting, you do photography, like you're all over the place with your talents.
Amateur photography.
No, but I've seen it. It's gorgeous. And one of the things that was kind of neat was you had a term. It was at pop abstract.
I come up with that term.
Can you talk about that a little? Because we did something together that was that, and then you're going to do some more work with that, right? Like up and coming.
I wanted to come up with a new style. Basically, I went through my comics from back in the 50s and 60s, and I picked out a panel and I blew it up real big, painted it. I thought it looked great, and then I was looking through an art magazine, and there's my painting, and it's like, what the hell? Someone already did it. And his name's Lichtenstein, and that's how you do.
Wait, so all that pointillism sort of daddy stuff, yeah, from like comic style, yeah.
Over the whole thing and thought about it, and I come up with this style. By the way, that painting of you is the first one I did.
No,
and,
really?
And I've not seen it anywhere before, and it's like pop and it's like abstract together. It's hard to tell in a small picture, but
I love the one. We're gonna put this up. The one of how the scale of it is pretty epic. Because it's like you're on a couch and it's like, wow, it's like a big piece. Yay! Well, thank you. Oh my gosh, look at that. Ooh. You just did that one?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit while ago, but this one I just finished a few days ago. It's
I love it. That one is interesting to me because it's a little more like straightforward. Some of yours have so many complex details. That's a little more like a Sunday morning comic, right? Like it's a little more. I know I'm not trying to, but I mean, you know what I mean. It's a little more straightforward because some of yours have like one of the things that blows my mind about your work is so detailed. I mean, the amount of detail you put into that's why that one struck me as kind of like, oh, because it's sort of so like. Here I am. I'm drawing. Here I am because your stuff is like. Whoa.
Well, a lot of my work, especially the detailed work, if you really look at it, I put subliminal messages on them.
I can well, it kind of reminds me a little bit of, I don't know if you know, I know it's a little bit different. It's not really punk, but you know the cover album for Grateful Dead, American Beauty, where if you reread the logo, it says American Reality.
Right.
Like it's like, ooh. Like there's like hidden little it's like Easter egg or whatever in there. So yeah, your work is very like there's a lot going on. It's not just like
some of my subliminal lost me jobs too.
Really?
Because because when I was younger I did some stupid stuff.
Well, but live and learn. I feel like you've bounced back.
Yeah, well,
creatively.
You live and learn.
You are an artistic icon, so I think you're okay.
Thank you.
I know that makes you pretty uncomfortable because you're not one of the things we talked about this before, but one of the things I love about you is you are not a hubris type of person. Like you're like a cool person who happens to be a creative genius, but you don't run around going, look at me.
I'm not really into other art. I am not
like that at all.
I'm not into other artists like that.
No.
They just talk about yourself all the time. I'm just like, just shut up for a while.
You just put out cool work. Well, okay. So this is a little transition into the end of the interview, and it's the Vyx quiz.
Oh no.
Vyx quiz. Now I offered this morning to ask you if you wanted questions in advance. You said no. They are not, again, they're not like mean, like, oh, I'll get ya questions. They're just like fun. So before I can read them, I have to put on my librarian glasses. I got to put them low because of my eyelashes. There we go. Otherwise, they won't fit on my face. You ready?
No.
Of course you are. So I was born ready, Vyxsin. Okay. What moment or moments in your life make you feel the most alive, the most vivid, vibrant, alive, full of vim, vigor, and moxie?
That's a hard one. I mean, actually, it's best when I'm drawing and stuff, but I don't know if I feel alive because I'm in a zone. And when I'm in the zone, 10 hours can be like 2 hours. And also when I draw, sometimes it's like I'm watching somebody else draw.
Well, and you mentioned one of the things I thought was neat that you mentioned was that when you're drawing, you feel like a release from some anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
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 Like it's almost like
And
it's almost meditate is it meditative? Okay, we're like meditative therapeutic, like something like
well,
that. Would you?
I've had, I've had like really severe anxiety problems all my life. And art is one of the things that helped me tremendously.
Just like zen out and be cool and groovy and go to your own. I personally also have anxiety, so that wasn't a judge at you. And that was like as a fellow person with anxiety, I find like when I get a chance to be creative, it sort of like stills some of that for me. Not on the
And if,
level of you, but we can't all of us be Jeff
you know, what can I say? Art is in the eye of the beholder. So,
Well, I
you know
think
what?
that, well,
I, I,
I've beheld your art and it's fabulous. Okay, here we
okay.
go. If you had a choice, would you prefer to be indoors or outdoors?
I like both. To be honest, I like both. I like being indoors because that's where all my stuff is. That's where my wife is working on her stuff. But I also like going out because I get to take pictures. I get to see interesting things. I walk through alleyways. I get to meet strangers. I like, nature. So that's 50-50.
That's fair. Well, that's a follow up. There's a follow up question is where do you actually spend most of your time? Like in the real world, where do you actually spend most of your time?
Workroom, my studio.
Well, there's no way that that's not possible because you create so much. Like I keep using the word prolific for you, but you are like you're just always like this and this. And you're just so yeah. What I've found asking people this question is most people say that they love it outdoors, but that they spend most time indoors. I would say that's true for me too. Like I love camping and stuff, and like, but
Oh, yeah.
I'm indoors most of the time. Okay,
But if I could,
I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say, if I could work outside, that would be great.
Yeah. Do you do any of, I know you do some of your photography is when you're walking around, but do you do like drawing or any of that outdoors, or is that kind of not
Every once in a
possible
while,
with your work the way that you need everything to, because you're
it,
really specific. It seems like
yeah,
it'd be
well,
hard if it was like windy and rainy at you or super
right.
sunny.
But when I'm just inking and it's a nice day out, I can go to a park or sit on my front porch or whatever. You know, it's rare, but it happens.
Here and there, you can make it work. So if you could, okay, so money is no object. You can travel anywhere in the world. Where would you like to go?
Wow, that's a hard one because there's lots of places I would like to go. Japan.
I think that they would really get you there. I've
I
had the
would like.
privilege to go to Japan. I think they would totally get your work. Like it would make lots of sense. Okay, this is a follow up and it's a little bit weirder. If you could travel any when in time,
If I could
when
travel,
any when in time, if you could travel any when in time, when would you go? Like,
now, because I wouldn't go any other time because you fantasize about Western days, you fantasize about medieval days, but you always take the light side of it. Medieval days, everything stunk.
it
You
was
know,
pretty gross.
you look at all the different times, and they really wasn't all that good. You know what I mean? Disease, war, uh, plagues, all kinds of shit. Where we're living at now, especially for you and me, we got to see kids playing kick the can, all this stuff, riding outside, and we get to see the future of it. We're in the middle of both. So we're in the perfect line. So to me, it's the perfect time.
I love that. That's kind of profound. I'm going to go ahead and have to sit with that later. Okay, so you've had an exciting and interesting, fascinating life. Um, do you have any advice for people of things to aspire to? Like, hey, man, if I could just give you one bit of advice, I would suggest fill in the blank.
Work hard, be consistent, be nice to people. Don't step on people on your way up because they would definitely step on you on the way down. And, you know, just be you, be true to yourself. And that's all I can think of right now.
That's fabulous. All of those are okay. Now here's the inverse of that. If you had any advice for people of things to avoid in life, just whatever you do not.
I would say psychic vampires, if you know what that is. You know, they suck your soul dry, and negative people.
I think that the concept of a sci vampire, people think it's kind of funny and silly, but it is not. It is a real. There are people out there, right? Can you explain what that means to you? Because I know exactly what you're saying, but like,
Well,
what is that to you? Because you're absolutely right, and I don't know how to quite frame it how you would like.
yeah, well, it's essentially people that are negative, always down, and they would drag you down. They suck your energy out of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. Absolutely. Okay. So if somebody hurt your feelings, like they wronged you, hurt your feelings, how is the best way for them to make it up to you? I haven't hurt your feelings, but just if someone in life wrongs you, what do you do with that? Because that happens to everyone, right? Like you are wronged, you are done a disservice by others. Can they make it up to you? If so, how? Like, how do we reconcile conflict?
Mm, I get over it pretty easy myself. The only thing I don't get over is, you know, my stepfather beating my mom and my dad and my aunt up with a shovel. That I never can get over. I don't get over men beating women up or beating pregnant women up. But other than that, you know, I'm pretty easy. I mean, you start acting right to me and show that you're on the right track, I can overlook shit.
I'm with you on all of those counts. Yes. Okay. Favorite quote.
Is
Go,
if someone
yes.
asks me to do a portrait, I tell them sure. If the person was just hit by a car and thrown through the front window of the car.
And there we have it. And there we have it. I love that. So when you said that this morning, I was just like, whoa. Okay, last one. Okay. You're a human. We could, but if you could not live on land, would you prefer to be under the water or up in the sky? Where would you feel most at home?
I'd like to fly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
I
I'm
think
not. I don't know. I'm not a fish person, so flying above mountains and trees and stuff would be fun.
that's cool. I love it. Well, this kind of wraps up our interview. Thank you so much for your time. And I wanted to tell you, I'm sending you love and hugs to you and everyone that you care about.
Thank you, and I appreciate it that you have me on the show. I really do.
Well, I appreciate your friendship. You are a really neat person and so gifted, and I'm privileged to be a teeny tiny little piece of your of your catalog of work that spans 40 years. I get to be I'm in this little piece, but I feel really honored to get to be a piece of that. And I'm so proud of you for everything you've done, and just yeah, like I said, love and hugs.
Well, best of wishes to you and everything that you've done.
Thank you. I'm going to call you at the end just to say bye bye. But
Okay.
we're off the air.
All right.
Ta-da! We did it!
Thank you all so very much for joining us this evening. We hope you had as fantastic of a time as we did. If you enjoyed what you saw, please feel free to press the like and subscribe buttons below and leave a comment if you are feeling up to that. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Also, if you want some more information about our featured guest, their links will also be posted below. Feel free to pay them a visit as well. Take care, have a beautiful rest of your day, and until the next installment of Vyxsin with Friends, don't forget, stay spooky.